Hello, fifth grade. Today is day 13 of our video lesson. I hope you're all safe and healthy and doing well. So before we begin today, again, I just want to make sure you're all able to log into your studies weekly. So you go right here. This is how the page looks like. This is the website, studiesweekly.com. You go to log in and then you put in your username. This is my username. This week we are on week 6 of our life science unit. So again, it should look like this right here, okay? And that's it. Your test will be available this Friday, okay? But for now, let's just go ahead and jump straight to our math lesson, okay? So that is your warm-up. Go ahead and pause the video and get started. All right, so hopefully you were all able to solve these questions. All of them are adding because we're going to be doing adding today, okay? That's our objective. Our objective for today is we're going to learn, we should be able to, by the end of today's lesson, know how to add fractions that have mixed numbers for both of them, for both add-ins, okay? That means that this is going to be a mixed number and this will also be a mixed number, okay? But for our warm-up, we're just doing only one of them is going to be a mixed number, right? So let's start off with number 1. 1 wholes and 1 2 plus 2 wholes. All right. So we've been learning the different methods how to add these fractions, and it's really now up to you what method you want to use, all right? I think for this one, it's a perfect opportunity for me to use a number line. Okay, so I start off with 0, and I want to add my mixed numbers, my whole numbers first, okay? So my whole number here for this number is 1. My whole number here is 2. So I start off with 1. I have 1 here. I'm going to add 2. So 1 plus 2, that'll give me 3. Okay? But remember, we still need to add this 1/2. So now we just need to make half of a jump. That'll leave us here. So now we have 3. Ooh, ugly 3. Now I have 3 wholes and 1/2. That's where we land, and so that is our answer. 3 wholes and 1/2. Now I know some of you, probably most of you, are trying to do this mentally, right? Well, if I have 1 whole plus 2 wholes, that'll give me 3, and then I just add on this 1/2 at the end. So my answer is 3 wholes and 1/2. You can do that as well, but again, I like to use a number line because then I'm able to see how my numbers are being added, okay? And also because when we're adding fractions, it's easy, but when we're subtracting fractions, a number line is very, very useful. So I just want us to get a lot more practice on how to use a number line, okay? So either way, if you're adding or subtracting, use a number line. Very, very useful. All right, number 2 says 3 wholes and 1/4 plus 2/4. So again, I make a number line. I start off with 0. And I'm going to add my whole numbers first. I have 3 wholes here. And do I have any whole number there? No, I don't. So I have 3. I'm not adding anything to it. That's just like a 0. So now I can go ahead and add my fractions, 1/4 and 2/4. So if I'm right here, my first tick mark, this tick mark is 3 wholes and 1/4. This tick mark will be 3 wholes and 2/4. This tick mark will be 3 wholes and 3/4. And this tick mark will be 3 wholes and 4/4. Or remember 4/4, that's 1 whole, so I have 3 wholes and 1 whole. That will just give me 4, okay? And then I can keep going, 4 wholes and 1/4, and so on and so forth, okay? So again, let me recap really quick what I did. I have 3 whole number here, and I don't have any whole number here, so I'm not adding anything to it. It's kind of like adding 3 plus 0, right? I stay here at the 3. Next up, I need to add 1 over 4. So I jump. Let me use a different marker. I jumped here now. And I'm going to add 2 over 4. 1, 2. So I land right there, and so that is my answer. 3 wholes and 3 over 4. All right? You see, very, very useful. Number lines are very, very useful. I think that once you get enough practice with them, it just becomes a lot easier, and eventually you'll be able to use it even without having to use a number line, okay? Number 3 says 2 and 1/4 plus 1/4. Similar problem to our last one. So again, I draw a number line, start off with 0. Identify my whole numbers. I have 2 here. I don't have any whole number there. So then that's just saying like 2 plus 0. I stay here. And then this tick mark, what do you think this tick mark will be? 2 wholes and 1/4. Correct. 2 wholes and 2/4. 2 wholes and 3/4. And then 2 wholes and 4/4. Or this right here is 1 whole, 2 wholes and 1 whole. That'll just give me 3, right? And then I can keep going as well, but I'll just leave it right there. So I have 2 wholes, but now I need to add my fractions, and luckily their denominators are the same. So I'm just gonna add 1 over 4 right here, this one, and then I need to add the other 1 over 4 right there. And so this is where I land, and that is my answer. 2 wholes and 2/4. All right, and that's it. Last one. Last one says 4 wholes and 1 over 2 plus 1. I make a number line, start off with 0. I identify my whole numbers. This is a whole number, this is a whole number, so I have 4 plus 1 whole number, and so that'll give me 5, right? 4 plus 1, that's 5. But when I make my tick marks, here I have 5 wholes and 1/2, 5 wholes and 2 over 2, or again, this is a whole number, 5 and 1 whole number, that is 6, and then I can keep going, right? But I'll just stop right there, I don't have any more space. So I left off at 5, but remember, now I need to add my fractions. I have 1/2 here, and I don't have anything right there. So all I need to do is just add 1/2, and I stop right there. So my answer is 5 wholes and 1/2, 1 over 2, all right? And that's it. So hopefully you're all able to do these. We'll get more practice during the week. And again, if this is not making sense, go ahead and join our Zoom calls, right? That is why the Zoom calls are there. So you can have questions, you can see me, I can see you, I can hear you. You can show me your work if you want to. And we can clear up anything that's confusing, right? Okay, so like I said, our objective for today is we're gonna add 2 mixed numbers. And remember, mixed numbers are, for example, let's say I have 2 and then 1 over 2. That is a mixed number. One way I recognize it is because I have a whole number in orange, and then I also have a fraction, right? So I have a whole number and I have a fraction. They're mixed. It's a mixed number, okay? A little bit of review. So our objective for today is that we're gonna learn how to add 2 mixed numbers, right? Because before we've only had 1 mixed number. This is our mixed number here. We've been adding, examples like that, or again, something like this. But now our objective for today is we're gonna add 2 mixed numbers. So this is what I mean. This is an I do. Let's say I have 2 wholes, 1 over 2 plus 1 whole, and 1 over 5. right? Now I have two mixed numbers, this one and this one. But it's actually the same thing, all right? Kind of. Same steps, I should say. Okay, so please make sure that you're copying this down in your notebook or wherever you're taking notes. This is an I do. So just watch, listen, and copy this down, okay? So one thing I noticed right away is that my denominators are not the same, right? I have 2 and I have 5. So right away, I already know that I cannot add these as they are right now, okay? Their denominators are not the same. So what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to change them. Now, like I said earlier, we've been learning different ways to add unlike denominators. Our first one is where we draw, right? We draw boxes, and then we switch them up and we get a same denominator. You can use that. But for this week, let us continue on with our least common denominator method, right? Where we make the list. Our least common denominator. Least common denominator, okay? So for now, let's just do the same thing we were doing before where we just identify our whole numbers. Let's identify our whole numbers. Here, for this fraction, 2 whole is 1 over 2. My whole number is 2. Here, for this fraction, my whole number is 1. And let's add those first like we did before. 2 plus 1, that'll give me 3. Okay, and now let's go ahead and add our fractions. I have 1 over 2 plus 1 over 5. Now you see, I'm breaking it apart. I'm breaking it apart by whole number, right? And now I'm breaking it apart by our regular fractions, okay? Because now this right here looks a lot simpler than what I have over here, right? 1 over 2 plus 1 over 5, that's a very simple problem. I could draw pictures or I can do the least common denominator method, okay? And let's do it this way, the least common denominator method. So actually what I want to do is let me do this in a different color. Do this in orange, 1 over 5. Now, if you forgot how to do the least common denominator, it's okay, we'll do it right now. Our denominators are not the same, which means we have to make them the same. Let's start off with this denominator here, 2. We're going to have to skip count by 2, and then we're going to have to skip count by 5 and see if they have any numbers in common. Okay, so we'll start off with our 2. We start off with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And nice, I'll stop right there. We can keep going. We could have went on to 40 if we wanted to, or we could have stopped at 10. But what I like to do is I like to do the first 10, right? We start off at 2, and then we count it 10 times. Now we're at 20. But we could have gone further. You could have gone further if you wanted to. Next up, let's do the same thing for 5. I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Okay. Now, let's see our two lists and see if we have any numbers that they share, right? They have to be a common number. That's why it's a common denominator. Let's see, 2, 5, 4, 10, 6. Oh, I found it. Did you find it? The number that they both have in common? Yeah, right? 10. 10. Now, I know some of you might be asking, well, Mr. Yanis, they also share a 20. But remember, we're looking for our least common denominator. That's why it's called the least, because it has to be our least common denominator. 10 is less than 20, so 10 is our common denominator, all right? Your first number that you see that they share, that will be your common denominator. Now that I found my common denominator, I have to switch both of these denominators, my one in black and my one in orange, into 10, all right? Well, how can I switch this 2 into a 10? 2 times what? 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5, here we go. 2 times 5. But remember, we also have to multiply our numerator. Next up, how can we switch up this 5 into a 2? What do we need to multiply by? Well, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Here we go, 5 times 2. So that means I also have to multiply my numerator by 2. Now let's go ahead and see what we have. 1 times 5, 5. 2 times 5, 10. We're adding it up. 1 times 2, 2. 5 times 2, 10. And now look what we have. We have two fractions whose denominators are the same, so we could go ahead and add. 5 plus 2, that'll give me 7. And then we don't add our denominators, that stays like that. So it's 7 over 10. But remember, we're just going to add this on to our whole number. Because how do we get this 3? Remember, we added our whole numbers. 2 plus 1, 3. Next up, I added my fractions. But I noticed that my fractions denominators were not the same, so I switched them to be the same. I found my least common denominator. I multiplied accordingly. I got new fractions. 5 over 10 plus 2 over 10, that gives me 7 over 10. And then I added on to my whole number, and this is what I got, okay? And I can leave it like that. So one thing I want you all to notice is that 1 over 2 and 5 over 10, they're the same, right? 1 over 2 is the same as 5 over 10. I just multiplied it by 5, but they're still the same. They are equivalent fractions. Same thing for our orange fraction. 1 over 5 is the same as 2 over 10, right? Remember, when we were drawing the pictures, they're still the same fractions. I just made them a little bit bigger, a little bit larger, all right? Now, let's go ahead and do another one. This one away. Let's go ahead and do, this will be a you do. So you could go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own. Now everybody, it is important that you are actually pausing it and trying to do it on your own, all right? If you just watch the video without trying it in your notebook, it's gonna be a lot harder to understand, all right? So right now, go ahead and pause the video, and using the same method we did for this one, do it for this problem, okay? All right, hopefully you were all able to solve it, but if not, that's okay. We'll go through it right now. So much like we did before, identify your whole numbers, everybody. Identify your whole numbers. My whole number here is 2. My whole number here is 1. 2 plus 1, that'll give me 3. All right, not too bad. Next up, let's go ahead and add our regular fractions. Oh no. Oh no, I'm running out of ink. There you go. Let's go ahead and add up our fractions. I have 1 over 2 plus 3 over 5. Okay. Well, now this looks a lot simpler, right, than this whole equation that I have up here. I could easily draw a picture, but again, let's use our least common denominator method. I need to find my least common denominator. So, and again, I just want to do these in different colors. This one in orange. I'm noticing that my denominators are not the same. This one is 2, this one is 5, so I need to find out what number they have in common. But these are the same numbers from our last example, so we should already know what it is, right? But I'll still do the list anyway. We start off with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We'll stop right there. And then we'll do the same for this one. 5, 10, and look, there we go. Same number, this is our least common denominator, it's 10. So we need to see how we can switch this 2 into a 10. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 will give me 10. So I need to multiply my denominator and numerator by 5. Let's do the same thing for For our orange fraction, how can we get this 5 into a 10? What do we need to multiply it by? Exactly, 2. But our numerator needs to be multiplied by 2. So 1 times 5 is 5. Then our denominator is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. And then for our orange fraction, 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 2, 10. And now look, we know we're doing it correctly because our denominators are the same. That's exactly what we want, everybody. So now we could go ahead and add 5 plus 6, 11 over 10. Now, this question, there's an extra step to it. And hopefully you all are seeing it right now. Check out this fraction right here. This fraction right here is an improper fraction. Remember, an improper fraction is a fraction where our numerator is greater than our denominator. But let's not leave it as 11 over 10. Let's switch it so it is a proper fraction, okay? 11 over 10, Well, 11 over 10, that's 1 more than 10. So here, let's draw a box, actually. And we have to draw this fraction. We have 10 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A little bit sloppy, but it's okay. How many do we need to shade in? 11. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh man, I can only fit in 10 pieces here, so what am I gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to add another box of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I shaded in 10 here, but I don't want to shade in 10. How many do I want to shade in? 11. So that means I only need to shade in one more. Now what type of fraction do I have? Well, I have 10 over 10, or this is also one whole, right? That's one complete fraction. Everything is filled in. It's 1. What about this one? 1 shaded in over 10. So this 11 over 10 can also be rewritten as 1 whole from here, and then 1 over 10. But remember, this is not our answer. We still need to add it to this one. I have 3 wholes and then 1 over 1/10. So, how am I going to do this? Well, now we're going to have to combine these fractions, right? Because the 3, we got it from our whole numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. And we got 1 over 1 whole and 1 over 10 from this process right here. So I just need to combine 3 wholes plus 1 over 1/10. Now you see, this is why it's the same steps as our warm-up, but it just takes a little bit longer, right? A few extra steps, but it's the same thing. So let's add up our whole numbers. 3 plus 1, 4. And then we'll just add in our fraction. So our final answer is 4 wholes and 1 over 10th. Okay, that is our final answer. We'll do one last example, all right? Let me just erase this one. All right. Let us try, let's see. Let's do 2 wholes and 2/4 plus 1 whole and 3/4. Actually, let's do 1 whole, 1 whole and 1/2. There you go, that's a good one. So, identify your whole numbers. I have 2 and I have 1. 2 plus 1, that'll give me 3. Easy. Now let's go ahead and add our fractions. 2 over 4 plus 1 over 2. All right. I notice right away that my denominators are not the same. So I'm going to have to find my least L common C denominator. So let's make a list like last time. I have a list of 4. Remember, you're making a list for your denominator, okay? That's why it's called the least common denominator, right? Don't worry about your numerators. Make the list for your common denominator. A very common mistake that I've seen in other 5th grade classes. But anyways, we're going to make a list for 4, so let's skip count by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And I'll stop right there. Next up, let's do it for 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. We'll stop right there. Now, do you see a number that they both have in common? Yeah, but I actually see a lot. But remember, I see that they have a 4 in common, they have an 8 in common, they have a 12 in common, a 16, and a 20. But which one, everybody? Which one is the one that we care about? Exactly. We only care about my least common denominator, my first number that they share, and that number is 4. That number is 4 right there. So our least common denominator is a 4. Okay. Well, how can I switch this into a 4? Well, actually, it's already a 4, so I don't need to change anything from it. It's already a 4. I don't need to change anything from it. Oh, whoa, what happened here? I'm sorry. Again, I'm not multiplying this fraction because it is already a 4, right? So I don't need to switch anything from it. I can just move it on and leave it be. How can I switch this 2 into a 4? Well, let's see. 2 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So there you go. I need to multiply it by 2. And multiply my numerator by 2. 1 times 2, 2. 2 times 2, 4. Our denominators are the same. That's a big hint that I'm doing this correctly. 2 plus 2, 4. And then denominator 4. All right. But again, this is not a proper fraction. My numerator is equal to my denominator. I'm going to make a box of 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. All of it is filled in. So this is 4 over 4 or 1 whole, right? So now I have 3 and 1. I combine those two numbers, 3 plus 1, that is 4. So my answer is 4. Okay, my answer is 4 whole, the digit 4. All right? And that's it. For this one, we don't have a fraction. It's just a whole number. But that's our final answer, all right? So in your packet, go ahead and do all the pages that you have for lesson 10. Okay, so any pages that you have for lesson 10, go ahead and finish those up, okay? And that is it for our math. That is it for our math today. These problems, you have about, you have a few problems of those, and they're gonna take a while, right? As you can tell, we only did 3 examples right now, and that took about 30 minutes. So you will probably spend quite a bit of time going over today's problems, okay? But that's okay. It's not too hard, I think, but it does take quite a bit of time. All right, and that's it for our math. Remember to complete your exit ticket. And actually, I'll show you how your exit ticket for math should look like. That's your exit ticket question. 3 holes in 2/3 plus 1 hole in 3/5. Remember to choose your name correctly, all right? Otherwise, you won't get the credit for it. Okay, so that's it for math for your science. You should have read your whole unit yesterday. So today, you're gonna be completing this page right here, bird beaks, all right? Follow along, very simple instructions. And it gives us very cool information, I think, about birds, all right? But that's it, everybody. Hope to see you all tomorrow at 1:30. Remember, we have our Zoom session. So again, just to review, lesson 10, that's what you're doing for math. Any pages that you have for lesson 10. Any pages you have for lesson 10. And then you are completing this page right here that says bird beaks, all right? All right, that's it, everybody. Have a great day and stay safe.